Okay, so in this video I am going to take a crack at installing Claude Code in RStudio and see what I can do with Claude Code in RStudio. So this command right here, if you go to the docs, Anthropic docs page for Claude Code, if you just Google Claude Code, this should be the first thing that comes up. They have an install command here, and if you don't already have Node installed on your computer, you will need to install Node. You can just search Google for Node. You need to install node.js for your operating system. Just download it and install it. I've already got Node installed, and so this should work fine for me. So I'm just going to click the copy button here, come over into the RStudio. This is RStudio. And in RStudio, I have opened a terminal. So you have your R console, which is where you probably normally live when you're working in R. I'm actually going to open a different project. So let's see, I will open project, and I'm going to open my RWBIDS project. Did not select the actual project. Let's try that. Yeah, that looks like it worked fine. So normally you'd live here in the R console, but there's also the terminal, and this is the same as if you opened Mac OS shell, that I'm blanking on its name right now, or you know, I'm on Linux, so for me this would just be the terminal that I would open to open the command line. Windows also has Windows CMD. I will say PowerShell and Windows CMD work a little bit differently. So if you're doing stuff on trying to follow this tutorial on Windows, you might want to install Git Bash, which is a terminal that follows more of a Mac Linux pattern in terms of the syntax that it expects. And so if you have any trouble running any of these commands in Windows CMD or PowerShell, you should just use Git Bash instead, and that'll probably fix it. So I'm just going to go ahead and copy in that command, and we'll run it. And it's going to make a little spinny, and then it says that it has successfully installed. And then, so let's see, install Claude Code, navigate to your project. We're in our project, and then you run Claude to launch. And it says, welcome to the research preview. It's going to prompt me to select my text style. I think I'm going to go with that one. Let's go with that one, the dark text, since I'm on a light terminal. And we'll do press enter to log into your Anthropic account. So I press enter. And then it takes me to the Anthropic console. May have to black some of that out so that you don't see my emails on the video. Let's see, authorize. So we just click authorize, and it says I'm all set up, so I can now close this window. And then I can press enter back in my terminal to continue. It says, welcome to Claude Code Research Preview. Security notes, Claude Code is currently in Research Preview. Claude can make mistakes. Due to prompt injection risks, only use it with code you trust. So this is a repository that I created, and so I do trust this code. But if you were downloading a repository off the internet and starting to do some work in an open source project that you've never interacted with before, you probably would want to maybe do this in a Docker container, if you know what Docker is, although that's going to be more difficult to do with RStudio than it would with a different IDE. Okay, so I'm going to hit enter to continue. Do you trust the files in this folder? Yes, proceed. And let's see, run tips for getting started. Run init to create a claude.md file with instructions for Claude. Ask Claude questions about your code base. Ask Claude to implement changes to your code base. So I'm going to go ahead and run init. And it says it's creating the claude.md file. And Claude is doing things. examining the important files to understand the code style and testing approach. It's reading various files, test files. It's looking for the R project file. And it has, after reading all of that stuff, it has sort of distilled our repository down into some instructions. Build, test, check commands, build package, rcmd build, or devtools build, rcmd install, or devtools install, run all tests. Those would be like normal bash terminal commands, whereas these are your R console commands. And Claude is going to be running in the bash terminal. So Claude is mostly going to be using these commands in order to interact with our R code. Anytime that it runs something with R, it's going to have to do it with this bash terminal. So we're going to have to give it instructions that tell it how to do that, and that's going to be challenging. So I'm not sure that these instructions are going to be what we finally end up with, so we'll have to do some experimentation to find out. Code style guidelines, 2-space indentation, yes, that's great. Maximum 80 characters per line, yes, it's a major pet peeve when LLMs get that wrong. Use tidyverse style, yes, absolutely. We want to use dplyr pipelines, export only functions with explicit @export roxygen tag, snake case or function variable names, validate function inputs with specific validation functions. Use expect functions for test assertions. Document all exported functions with Roxygen 2. Include parameter type validation at beginning of functions. Follow tidyverse error handling patterns with informative messages. Use explicit returns with return for clarity in complex functions. So that one we're probably going to change because R generally deprecates using explicit return. R very much likes the implicit return. So there are definitely some like style things here and some instruction things here that we're probably going to want to edit. But we'll go ahead and let's tell Claude to do differently. So I'm going to say we will actually prefer implicit returns where possible, because this is considered good R style. So Claude is now going to edit that file. So follow tidyverse error handling patterns with informative messages. So it looks like it just deleted that. Oh, prefer implicit returns. So this is new here. Last expression is return, prefer implicit returns. Okay, so that looks good. Let's go ahead and accept that. Create a claude.md file with essential information. Follow our best practice with implicit returns. I'm just going to say, let's make sure the instructions for running our code work for your interface. Run a quick test. Let's see, let's run a quick devtools command. So, do we want to proceed? So it has generated this. This is how you would run some R code from bash. So you invoke the R command line tool, and then this -e, I guess, is going to be execute, probably is what that's shorthand for, and then you input your code as a string. So we'll just say yes and make sure that that is in fact how to do it. And it looks like it successfully ran all of our tests. So I'm just going to say update Oh, okay, it looks like it already went ahead and updated. Run a single test. Run single test. R-E. So I've instructed Claude, you probably don't have access to the R console, so let's stick with instructions for running from bash. And I told it to be more explicit about how to use R-E as a prefix and then supply the code as a string. So we've got build package, install package, run all tests, run a single test, and so it's done a good job, I think, of providing some examples here. Yeah, that all looks reasonable, except this RCMD check. I think we would want to use DevTools, not RCMD check as the library. Let's see. So we're just going to have it clarify that instruction. So we've got build package, RCMD build. Yeah, that all looks good. Run the tests. DevTools check, DevTools document. So those look good. Build vignettes. I think there might be a DevTools command for building vignettes, so we'll have to revisit that. There's also some other extraneous thing down here that looks like maybe it's gotten cut off from whatever text it originally belonged to. So, but I'm gonna go ahead and tell Claude yes, and then maybe we'll go in and manually edit that file. So let's open up claude.md and just take a look. So actually this looks okay. DevTools document for building the documentation. That's Roxygen 2 documentation. And then build vignettes. I'm just going to look up real quick DevTools build vignettes, and let's just see if there's a standard DevTools for that. Yeah, build package vignettes, build vignettes. This is in fact a DevTools command, so DevTools build vignettes. I'm just going to update that. DevTools build vignettes. That didn't seem right to me. And then it would just take package. Okay, so we wouldn't need this. It would just look like that. Okay, that looks pretty good. So I'm going to go ahead and save that. So now Claude should be all configured to make changes to our package, and I will make this claude.md file available for you so that you can tinker with it, change it, and adapt it for your own use. But this should be a pretty good starter for having Claude make changes. And let's just go ahead and make a sample change to this repository. So I've got So I do all my project management through GitHub, and so I have installed a GitHub command line tool, which if you haven't used it, you can search GHCLI and find the installing page, and you'll get instructions for how to install the GitHub CLI. So that's at cli.github.com. Once you get that installed, then you can tell Claude about it. So I'm actually going to tell Claude add instructions. Whoops, where'd my terminal go? Okay, so I think I accidentally closed my terminal, so I will have to reopen it, I think. So, oh, there we go. Add instructions for, actually, let's tell it to reread the file again first. Reread the file so you have the latest changes I made. So it says marinating, it says it's reading the file to pull in the latest changes, it says it sees the changes. Okay, and then I'm going to say update the file with instructions for using the GHCLI tool for project management. For example, GH issue list, GH issue view. And since we use a Git branching workflow, GH issue develop to create a branch for the issue, then git checkout to the branch to isolate changes. So Claude is going to generate some documentation for itself about using that GitHub CLI tool. So list issues, GH issue list, view issue details, create a branch for the issue, check out the branch, create a pull request, and list pull requests, view pull request. Yeah, so that looks good. I'm going to tell it, yes, do that. And then I'll say get the current list of issues for this project. And if you haven't configured your GitHub command line tool yet, you probably will have to go through a little bit of configuration here, but Claude should be able to walk you through that. But for me, it is already configured, so I can just say, yes, let's go ahead and run that. And see, Claude has looked at our GitHub repository and has pulled in the full list of current issues. Yeah, so, and it has generated an adjustment to the documentation, which looks fine. I guess it decided to provide more concrete examples. Yeah, that's fine. I think unnecessary, but fine. All right, so, and then let's tell Claude, okay, let's work on an issue. I think the one that I want to work on is documentation for contributors. That seems easy. Let's go ahead and do that. Let's do 73. So it's going to GitHub issue view 73. Do you want to proceed? Yes. And it has opened it up to look at the issue, and it's done a GitHub issue develop 73, so it's going to create a branch for the issue. Yes. and then it should run, yes, git checkout in order to switch to that branch. And I say yes, proceed. And now we're on a separate branch where we can develop on this issue. And it's reading our readme.rmd, which is great because there's a readme.md and readme.rmd, and the readme.rmd is indeed where we want to make our changes. It's checking whether there's an existing wiki. Yeah, I mean there is there is an existing wiki. I don't know what it's doing that for. I'm actually going to say no, Claude, don't do that. Let's see. And also link to the wiki. Actually, okay, so the GitHub issue does refer to the wiki. So actually, so there's a bash mode here. So you can do / for commands. And escape to undo. So maybe I can do escape to jump to the previous thing. Okay, let's work on an issue. Let's do 73. Yeah, sure. Let's try going back a step and see what happens. Okay, so yeah, so it's just rolled back our conversation to my last user message, and Claude is going to regenerate that command, GitHub issue view 73. So yeah, we'll view it, and it looks at it, and then it'll probably do the same thing, generate that wiki view command. Yeah, okay, so I'm going to go ahead and authorize it to run that command this time. It says unknown JSON field wiki URL, so Claude has created a malformed command of some kind. It's trying again. Okay, and it's gotten a response back that says has wiki enabled is true and gives the repo URL. It's already created a branch for this, I believe, so we should already be on a branch, I think, but maybe that was, maybe I rolled that back. I'm going to say you may already be on the branch, check. Yeah, so it says it's already on the branch, which is the correct branch for this issue, so let's proceed. It's going to read the readme.rmd file, and it has read the file, and then it's going to add the section about contributing to the package, and it's also adding a mermaid diagram, so which was also mentioned in the issue. Yeah, okay. So I think that we're not going to want the curly braces for the mermaid, probably. Visit the wiki for more information. So that all looks, good enough. I'm going to go ahead and say, just tell Claude to remove the curly braces around mermaid. And it will do that. So it's done that. Yes. And it says, now let's generate the README file from the readme.rmd file. And it's using R-Markdown render, which isn't the way that I would do it. I would go DevTools build README. Let's use, it's functionally the same, but let's see, build README and update Claude.md to reflect this. Yeah, so even though I misspelled DevTools build readme, I spelled it readme, I left out the D, but Claude has correctly understood my meaning, and he has edited claude.md to reflect the way that I want him to do this. And now he has regenerated that command the way that I want it done. He's working on it, and looks like it has generated our readme.md file. And he's going to commit the changes. Yes, proceed. And git push. Yes, proceed. So he is creating a pull request for it. I'm actually going to go out to GitHub first and just sort of like view this branch just to make sure that it's what I want. So I open it up, I can navigate to the branch, and then we can see the changes that have been made to the README. Contributions are welcome. Now this is not perfect. I notice a few problems here. One is that the contrast on these nodes is pretty poor, so you can't read the text there. And the other thing is that this is a horizontally laid out chart, and that makes it pretty unreadable. So I may ask Claude to do a vertically laid out chart instead. So I am going to say, let's change the chart layout to make sure there's better text contrast and it's vertically laid out. So Claude has made some changes to my mermaid diagram. It's changed TD to TB. I think it might need LR actually, so it looks like the chart was already organized top down, and so what it needs is a horizontal left-right layout. We'll go ahead and try that and see what happens, but I suspect we're going to have to change that. Also, Claude has introduced some different color styles here, so let's go ahead and just give it a shot and see what happens. I would have, I mean, I could just open up that README, and we can't like see what the final chart looks like here in RStudio, but I could go to Mermaid and use their live editor on mermaid.live, and we can just put that code in, and it will generate my chart. Yeah, see, so the top down is actually not what I want. I think what I want is left right. Let's just try it, LR. Yeah, so that's better. That's what I want. I want the like vertical narrowness there, but it's actually a left to right orientation for the chart. That looks a lot better, and I think that the text contrast looks a lot better as well. So let's just come back to RStudio. I'm just gonna like make a manual edit there, LR, and hit save. And now Claude is generating git add and git commit commands. So we can go ahead and give Claude permission to do that. So actually Claude said TB in the commit message. That's not ideal, because that's actually not what we did. I changed it to LR. But that's okay. I'll just go ahead and give Claude permission to proceed with the push. And then we can go check again on GitHub. I can just refresh this, and we can look at what the graph looks like now. And that's much better. That's a much better look for that graph. So yeah, so Claude, basically with a little bit of steering, a little bit of help, Claude has made a decent contribution and has generated a command to open a pull request. And I'm just going to say, do you want to proceed? I'm just going to say yes. And the pull request is now available. He gives me the link so that I can come here and do code review. So I can assign my colleague Christoph to do code review on this and get that merged. So that's how to use Claude Code in RStudio. I will, underneath the video, I will make available this claude.md file for your use, and you can take it and adapt it however you want. I recommend not only the GH tool, but there's a number of MCP tools now that are available that are pretty cool, and maybe I'll do a separate video on how to get some of those MCP tools working for you, so that, for instance, Claude can chat with Gemini in order to get feedback from Google Gemini. Claude can access documentation from the internet, all kinds of things. So handle that in a separate video, but I think you've got mostly everything that you need here in order to make Claude Code work pretty well for you in RStudio. Like, subscribe if you found this video useful, and thanks for watching.